How many of you have ever felt like a complete failure? Maybe it was just me. Nope. Good crowd. Well, what if I told you that you didn't actually fail? You see, it's way more likely that you succeeded. You heard me. You succeeded at solving the wrong problem perfectly, over and over and over, because of something that I call blind blaming. Now, you didn't fail in your business, you didn't fail in your career, you didn't fail as a couple, you didn't fail as a partner, or just a general leader in your business. There's always something else going on that you can't see. My first experience with blind blaming happened when I was 10 years old. When I was 10 years old, I was a phenomenal baseball player. And if you know baseball, my batting average was .550, and you know that's really good. Babe Ruth in his heyday, .349 or .342, depending on where you look. I was good. That year, we won the championship. People noticed, and I was on my way to the major leagues, and I knew it. The next year, when I turned 11 and played in the next league, my batting average was 0. Not low, 0. I went from hero to 0 in one season. And you can probably guess that everyone around me had an explanation. Come on, kid, keep your head in the game. I have no idea what that means to this day. Why don't you just play to win this time? Well, I showed up to lose. Adjust your swing. Great advice. Fix your attitude. Thanks, Dad. Really motivated me to do better. Those are the types of things that I heard. The next season, I only played 2 games. I sat on the bench in a box they put me in, watching a game that I so desperately wanted to play with the other kids that were out there. I built my whole identity around baseball. But here's the real problem. After that season, I quit. But again, the real problem was this. No adult in my life stopped blaming me for something that was completely out of my control. Because 2 weeks after I quit, at a routine eye exam, we figured out what the real problem was. I just couldn't see. I needed glasses, and really thick ones. That is blind blaming in action. That is something that you're probably all experiencing right now at one moment or another in your life, or you've done it to someone else. When I think about the emotions that I went through when I was devastated that my baseball career was over, I get sad. And I get angry because I really, really, really wanted to play baseball. Blind blaming happens when you have a problem in your life or an unresolved issue and you can't figure out what the problem is. It's blind because you can't see the real problem. It's blaming because we instinctively have to assign fault somewhere. And it doesn't always work. So our brain has these shortcuts called heuristics. And when we have glitches in those heuristics, they're called cognitive biases. Now, those shortcuts usually help us make decisions faster. We get things done faster. They work really well. But when they don't work really well, they hold you back. And blind blaming has 3 fatal flaws that are centered around some of these cognitive biases. Fatal flaw number 1, availability bias. That means the first thing that pops into your head when there's a problem, that's it. You know it at your core. Not because it's the right problem, just because it showed up first. Fatal flaw number 2, confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is when you think you know what's going on, then you become a treasure hunter trying to find information to back up what you initially thought. The problem with that is, and the dangerous part is, you start ignoring contradictory evidence that could prove that to be wrong. And fatal flaw number 3 is tunnel vision. When you're so busy fixing the wrong problem, you can't see what else is going on. And it can keep people stuck for years, decades, or longer. Now, you would think that as a young kid that I would have probably learned my lesson about blind blaming, but I didn't. There's an individual that I know quite well. This individual had grown a $1 million a year business. On paper, doing really well. But behind the scenes, things were not going well. Employees were about to leave because they were frustrated because he kept forgetting things and he wasn't getting things done. He wasn't giving them the tools that they needed to succeed. His customers were leaving because he was forgetting to follow up. And his business partner got so frustrated with him that he actually went so far as to hire him an ADHD coach. And reluctantly, he agreed to work with his coach. And for 6 months, he worked with his ADHD coach over and over and over again. And finally, after 6 months, the coach said, look, you're getting things done way too quickly. I think there's something else going on that we can't see. So she sent him to her primary care physician. And the primary care physician said, so you've battled ADHD your whole life? And he's like, no. And I wish people would stop saying it. It's really starting to upset me. And she goes, well, I think there is something else going on. And come to find out, he had sleep apnea. He didn't have ADHD. He didn't need another planner. He didn't need another block schedule. He didn't need another tool. He was chronically exhausted. His brain wasn't getting enough oxygen during the night to function during the day. And by the way, that individual was me. After we fixed blind blaming, we grew our business 5 times. Once we got the sleep apnea fixed, everything got better. It was that one thing that nobody else saw. And the problem was this: everybody in my circle, my sphere of influence, was absolutely convinced that I had ADHD, and I didn't. It was something else going on, and it took somebody from outside of our circle to figure out what was going wrong. Happened to me when I was 10 years old. It happened again at 40. I see blind blaming holding people back more than anything else that I've ever run into my entire career. Here's how it shows up in real life. It's the manager who blames the employee for being lazy when the employee was never taught how to do the process correctly in the first place. I'll ask, well, what did you do? Did you train them? No, I told them what to do twice. Oh, did you put it on video? Did you write it down in a process? Did you schedule an appointment to go meet with them to make sure they clearly understood what you wanted them to do? Oh. It's the parent who calls their kid unmotivated when the real problem is undiagnosed anxiety. And it's the business owner who blames their marketing agency or the economy or their team and eventually themselves when the real problem is something they never even thought to look for. And again, blind blaming will keep you stuck for years, decades, or longer. Now, this isn't just my problem. This is human nature. I guarantee you, tonight at Cambridge, there are students sitting in their apartment or their dorm, wondering why they're not doing as well as they should, blaming this or that, when the real problem is either nutrition or sleep, or possibly an educational system that was set up to not teach how they need to learn. There's a phrase that I hear all the time, especially the last couple of years. Anywhere I go, any country that I visit, Kevin, people just don't want to work anymore. Really? People don't want to work anymore. Well, is it possible they just don't want to work for you? Because most of the time it's the culture, it's the training, it's the employee onboarding or complete lack thereof. That's the problem. But a lot of times it's better or easier to blame an entire generation than to look in the mirror. Again, it keeps organizations stuck. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you from moving forward in your life. Now, there's data and research that backs this up. In a 2025 study, workplace study, they found that 61% of people feel like they were blamed for something that wasn't their fault in their workplace. But 73% of those people feel like they've never done it to anybody else, which doesn't make any sense. We're all blind to our own blind blaming. So what I'll do is I'll leave you with this. I'm not going to leave you with a framework. I'm not going to leave you with 3 steps. I'm going to leave you with a change in your thinking that will create a shift to create more possibilities than I think you've ever had. And it's all centered around one question. Is there something else going on that I can't see? Is the real problem something I can't see? Now, I want to be crystal clear about something. Once you find what the problem is, you still have to take action on it. You've got to make a decision to do something different. But I believe the danger is not asking that question first, because when you don't, relationships get destroyed, careers get stalled, businesses go away, and you stay stuck and you don't even realize what's happening. So the next time you feel stuck, the first thing I want you to lead with is the real problem something I can't see? Thank you.